Well, hi. Today is Thursday, March 26, 2026. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. Coming up today, we're going to learn a little bit more about what's going on with Pottawattamie Conservation because recently, actually earlier this month, there was a maple tapping event. It's an annual event at Botna Bend Park over by Hancock, and a lot of folks from Council Bluffs went over to that. In fact, we learned that there was about 100 people there, which is actually down a little bit because it was kind of cold the day that they did it. I think it was on March 7th or March 8th, whatever that Saturday was, is the day that they did it. And we wanted to learn more about how it went, what the process is, and everything else that's going on. So we tracked down Jon Fenner. He is a park ranger, works over at Botna Bend, also has some of the wildlife management areas. He also handles everything at Old Town in Macedonia. And he is going to be our guest today on Morning Coffee. S&B Country Kennel, the top spot in Southwest Iowa when you need to know your dog will receive only the best. Boarding, daycare, grooming, self-washing, training, and even a membership. Available to a dog park that's over an acre in size. S&B Country Kennel also has rescue dogs, so check with them about adoption possibilities. sbcountrykennel.com. That's the website, country spelled with a K. They're located just west of I-29 on Bunkie Avenue, south of Council Bluffs. And Morning Coffee brought to you by Keith Jones, your Edward Jones financial advisor in Council Bluffs. Learn how he can help you reach your financial goals. Visit edwardjones.com for more. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Back in the studios on Willow as we are welcoming a new guest in. This is Jon Fenner, and he is with Pottawattamie Conservation. And you are the man to talk to about all the excitement that took place at Botna Bend with the maple tapping event that happened earlier in March.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. We make maple syrup every year out there, and during that time of year, that's kind of the season in Iowa, and we always kind of follow up the end of the season with public program, and our people in our environmental education department put that together and get everything set up, and then make it work.
How far back does the program go? I mean, because a county doing maple tapping, it seems like it's a really cool thing, but I wouldn't think it would be that common.
There's not a lot of places in Iowa that do it. This was something that was started, a former naturalist for Pottawattamie County, Chris Williams. He was, when I started with the county, he was still the naturalist, and he had been doing it for a couple years before that. And that's been 30 plus years ago. So he started it back then, tapping the trees and making syrup. And the program was on a lot smaller scale back then. It was kind of more intimate program. We just advertised. Some people would show up, and you showed them how to tap a tree and talk to them for a while. And it's gone through its course, and it's getting bigger, and we have different way of doing things. We have different equipment, and so we have more people to help, and more people that show up for the program.
Types of equipment. What's involved if someone's coming out to do something like that? I mean, what types of things does it take to be able to tap a maple?
So it's on a very simple scale. It's there. You don't need much, and it could be a very cheap thing. It's kind of like, I think, like fishing.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it as expensive as you want to make it, or you can make it pretty cheap.
Right.
All you really need is something to drill a hole in a tree, and then something to make the sap come out of from the tree into a container, a bucket, or whatever. And you can buy spiles or the taps from companies, and they're pretty cheap. And we just use 5-gallon food grade pails to collect the sap in. And so that's the cheap end of the deal,
Right.
and even going beyond that, it's still pretty cheap. But through the years, I've bought different types of equipment to make things easier. I bought an evaporator, which is kind of like a big stove. You build a wood fire underneath it. It's got a big stainless steel pan on it, and then that's what we boil the sap in. And then I have a finishing pan. It's a separate little unit that's got a gas burner under it, and that's to finish your syrup. And then I also have a filter press, and all these equipment that I've gotten over the years has all been stuff that people have donated money to buy. People have come to the program and said, "Oh, this is so cool. Do you need anything, or can we figure out a way to make this easier for you?" "Oh yeah, I'd like this," you know. And so over the years, we've just keep adding to it, and actually, let's see, it's been what, 6 years ago, I actually finally built a sugar shack, um, which I'd been wanting to do for years, and it's just a place to keep your evaporator and your equipment, and that's where you boil your sap to make syrup.
Now,
It's
when you tap a tree, and you said you got a 5 gallon bucket,
Mhm.
typically how much is coming out of that tree?
So we have some pretty big maples at the park. We generally use most of the trees are silver maples. You can tap any species in the maple family to get sap for syrup out of. But we use the sugar maples, and we have some trees that are probably 60, 70 years old, big
Hmm.
maples. And a big tree like that, if we put two taps in it on a really nice sunny day, temperatures, say 40 some degrees, and sunny, it'll fill a 5 gallon bucket with sap.
Really,
Yep.
with just one tree,
Mm, yep.
and then after it's filled that bucket, you're talking about the evaporator, and you have to boil the sap. How much does it take to get, say, just your traditional 12-ounce bottle of maple syrup that you're getting? Because I know it doesn't come out of the tree that way.
No, no, no. So it's the ratio is typically said to be about 40 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup.
Oh, it's going down quite a ways then.
Yeah. So I keep track every year the amount of sap we collect and the amount we make, and we average pretty close to about 38 gallons of sap per gallon of syrup every year. Different species of maples will have different ratios. Obviously, a sugar maple gets its name from the amount of sugar in it, so it would have a better ratio.
How long does it take to fill that bucket once it's tapped?
We that's why we use 5 gallon buckets, because we empty them in the morning, we leave them out all day, and then we empty them the next morning. So I mean, it generally would be a 24-hour period.
Okay.
Sometimes they may drip over a little bit, and sometimes they don't get full. Um, it just depends on the tree, the weather, um, and if I got the tap in the right spot or not. You know, it
Is
just
it the kind of thing that from year to year it needs to be moved so you're not going back in the same place? I have no clue how any of this works.
Yes, yeah. So every time you drill a hole in the tree, you're not really hurting the tree, but it is kind of an injury to the tree. So you drill that hole, and once you remove that tap, and then the tree starts its growing season again, it fills that hole in with. It's basically not a living wood. It's not a living part of the tree anymore. It's kind of like a scar, I guess. So you'd have to find another spot. And we generally, you always want to go like over and up or down. You don't want to go in the same line around the tree, because eventually you will kill or girdle the tree. Because what you're doing when you drill a hole in it, you're taking the tree's food that it's bringing up from its roots, all the stored food from last fall, bringing that up from its roots. And if you cut off that supply by because I mean, you can kill a tree that way. If you take a chainsaw, run it all the way around the
Hmm.
tree, you'll girdle the tree, and that's what it does. It keeps the um, trees, nutrients, water, food, all that from getting up to where it needs to have it. So,
How was your turnout this year? Was it because I know it was kind of a chilly day
Mhm.
when it was going on. So
Yeah,
how,
yeah,
how was turnout this year?
yeah. It was pretty cold in the morning. We had about 100 people show up, and
That sounds like a lot. Is that typical for how many you have?
usually a little bit more. We do, usually a little bit better, but you figure out of those 100 people, half of them are probably kids,
Yeah.
which is great. Um, we always love to give people a reason to get kids out to the parks. One thing I did notice this year, though, I talked to a lot of people that had never been out there before. So you figure if you only had 100 people, but if there are 100 new people,
Yeah.
that's you know that's great. Then they'll
Yeah.
come back.
And yeah, and they'll come back not just for next year's tapping event,
Mhm.
but they'll come back and use the parks again
Yep.
because if that's the first time they've been there, chances are they don't even know everything
No,
that's going on out
no,
there
they
about
didn't
Botna
know.
Bend.
It's pretty cheap, easy way to come see some bison and elk. We got, nice campgrounds. We have a fair amount of walking trails. We don't have a lot of walking trails, but they're nice walking trails. And we have some recreation equipment. We got a goggle ball pit and a little basketball hoop, playground, stuff like that. So we have things to do.
I see early part of last year, I was out and the river was just kind of trickling down and it was it was real pleasant. I thought, man, this would just be so nice. I'm going to bring a lawn chair when I come back and camp and just sit in the river and just let it go by.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back, not so much.
Oh,
because there'd been some rain.
Okay.
And that thing was rushing by
Okay.
really quickly. So that can change pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the weather conditions.
Yeah, that river it can fluctuate pretty quick. But I mean, the trend has been, well, since the last time it flooded in 19 was when we had the last big flood. Since then, it's been low, like averaging low every year since then. And so we could use some rain, but it will, like if we have a big rain, a couple inches or whatever, it doesn't like flash flood, but it'll come up and then, but it goes down pretty quick too.
Yeah, I was that weekend that I was there, I took a stick and I pushed it into the bed right at the edge of the water just to see the next morning.
Yeah.
And the next morning it was over a foot inside of the water.
Oh, okay.
So it had come up quite a bit.
Up through the night.
But that's just part of the fun, I think, of being out there and enjoying everything that the park system has to offer. And Botna Bend is, for me, it's the relaxing place to go to. That it just has this calm, laid back vibe.
Sure.
Anytime that I'm there.
Yeah, the town of Hancock's right next to it, and it's a pretty quiet town, small. And I mean, you get a little traffic noise from the highway, but not a lot. It's not a heavily trafficked area and stuff.
So you kind of take care of a lot of different areas though out in that part, right?
Yeah, I have Botna Bend Park near Hancock, Iowa, and then Old Town Park, which is down by Macedonia, Iowa. That's a pretty small park, but it's on the river too, which is kind of a nice draw for that. And then I have a couple public hunting and fishing areas, Wheeler Grove Conservation Area and Farm Creek Public Wildlife Area.
With the wildlife areas, how much effort do you have to, or time do you have to spend at those? It would seem that that's just supposed to be more natural. So the novice in me would think, okay, that wouldn't take as much time, but I'm guessing that's probably not the case.
It's they're kind of eyes on areas. We have to go down there and make sure. I mean, there's parking areas down there and make sure the parking lots are good. And there's some places we mow a little trail here and there, but they're pretty low maintenance areas. We have our natural areas management crew that takes care of the land management part of it. So they, over the years, have been working on prairie reconstructions, and there's maintenance on those every year, whether it's burning them or trying to get some invasive species of weed or whatever, trying to get rid of that. Just tree management. The Wheeler Grove has a timber in there. It's nice timber. So they have, there's some timber management and stuff with that. But they are pretty lower maintenance areas, just for public to hunt, fish, or to just enjoy however they want to enjoy it. So,
well, I'm as we talked before, we got started here. I'm looking forward to getting to Old Town and trying out the campgrounds there.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty quiet over there, and as you said, it's small. I think there's just 8 sites. Is that
is that
8
right? 8 sites. Yeah. 8 sites, and I think it's only like 7.5 or 8 acres.
Yeah.
It's just a small little park. But
but it's a way to get out into nature and just kind of sit and unplug.
Yeah.
Which is the point to all of it. Is get your phone put down, see if you can go the whole weekend without picking it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to be able to do that. But I'm as anybody that comes in from the park system, I've told them I'm a huge fan of everything that's going on inside of Pottawattamie Conservation.
Great. We appreciate that.
All of the effort that has been put in to what it is that we have here, because there's a lot of places that I think we're fortunate that they're county parks because they could be a whole lot bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think Botna Bend is one of them. I mean, that's every bit a state park to me.
Yeah.
But we get it just in our county
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. And it's great. We get a lot of out of state people that come through in all of our parks, all the Pot County parks, and even all the county parks in Iowa, and they love it because um, Nebraska, Missouri, they have the state parks, and if they may have some federal parks or some reservoirs or something, but Iowa is kind of unique that the county parks, almost not every county in Iowa has a conservation board, but most do, and they manage parks just like the ones we have, smaller parks. They do manage some bigger ones too, but they're just a little more low key. And I think a lot of people from even out of state appreciate that we have those.
Yeah, and a lot of them, just like we have here with many of the parks, they have modern restroom facilities, they have showers, and we're seeing that a lot in the county parks around Iowa.
Yeah.
And that just kind of makes the whole experience a little nicer when all of that is there.
Sure.
And that's, I know Old Town doesn't have it yet. I don't know if it's ever planning on getting it, but that's there's just not enough people that can fit down there. But it's still across the board. I think that we're very, very fortunate that we have the system that we do.
Definitely. Yep. Definitely. And I appreciate working for the county.
Yeah.
It's a lot more, low key than state or federal. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've had great bosses. I've had great staff that I work with. I mean, some of the guys that I work with, we've been there for, well, I'm on 28 years, 29 years, 29 years. Our director just retired last year, Mark, and he'd been there for 30. Oh, I think he was at 31 or 32 years. And then we have Dave over at Arrowhead. He's been there forever. I don't know. I don't think he's at 40 years yet, but he's been there forever. So I mean, we've had great people to work with, and as our staff gets bigger and bigger, we just continue to hire great people to work for us.
That is very true, and something that I hadn't thought of. Just about anybody that I've talked to tells me about, going back 30 years or 25 years or so. Everybody's been there a long time, and you don't get that type of longevity in a job you hate.
No, no, because I mean, you could go do something else.
Sure.
I know, there's times when jobs might be hard to find, but I've always told myself, I'm like, when I don't do my job the way that I think it should be done, it's time to go do something else. If I don't like my job, I'm going to go find a job that I like. I mean, that's the way it works, and where I'm at now is good for me. I like it.
Well, before we wrap things up, second half of the maple tapping event is you're going to have a pancake breakfast coming up later this year.
Yes, September. It's the first Saturday in September.
First Saturday in September?
I believe it's the 7th. It's the 5th or the 7th. Let me look at my calendar.
Yeah, so that's the time where everybody can come out and enjoy all the fruits of your labor, and there's going to be a lot of people that were there.
Yes,
for the maple tapping event that'll come back for the pancakes.
September 5th. We generally have we've had almost 500 people there before. That was a really big year. Yeah. But generally, a couple hundred people, 300 maybe at the most, is generally what we get. But juice, coffee, sausage, pancakes, and then of course the maple syrup that we make there is what we serve. And just a good time to come out, see the park. And a lot of people that do come to the tapping program like to come and, we usually have a little bit at the tapping program for them to taste, but they come for the experience of getting some pancakes. And,
well, sure.
And dumping the syrup on yourself. And we don't monitor, some of the kids will put 3-4 ladles on there.
Oh, sure.
Some people just put a couple, but that's what we make it for. Make it for people to enjoy. So
it's just another great event that we have at the Pottawattamie Conservation and the Park System. He's Jon Fenner, and we're grateful for the work that you do, and also for the time that you took to come in and visit a little bit about what's going on.
Yes.
And congratulations on another successful event, and we'll look forward to September when we can find out just how good that syrup really is.
Definitely come out. Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Morning Coffee supported by Bryce Taylor and GLI Insurance Group, serving Council Bluffs, Tabor, and Clarinda. March in Iowa is that in-between season. It's not quite winter, it's not quite spring, but it is a good time to take 5 minutes and make sure your home, vehicles, and anything you're pulling out for warmer weather are properly covered. Bryce and the GLI team live and work right here in our communities and are always happy to help you head into spring with confidence. GLI Insurance Group, local service, all seasons. And Service Master Restored by Schmader knows how hard it is to get back to normal when you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke. Maybe you found mold in the house. Maybe you're afraid that you might have bed bugs. There is all sorts of reasons that you want to get a hold of Cindy Schmader with Service Master Restored by Schmader, because she can help get things back to normal. Give her a call at 402-339-9911. Thanks again, Jon Fenner, Park Ranger with Pottawattamie Conservation, for joining us today. Great information. Congratulations on the success of the maple tapping event, and I'm looking forward to that pancake breakfast coming up this fall. My name is Todd Studer, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.